we have now live from Venezuela Diego Sequera. He's in Baranas. He's a very famous writer and journalist and political figure in Venezuela, and I met him with my good wife Gayatri the last time we were there in Caracas. Diego, welcome to the mother of all talk shows. Is it politic to ask you what's the atmosphere like in Venezuela right now?
Sure, man. Thank you for having me, George. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for focusing on what's going on here in my country. Yes, I mean, the atmosphere hasn't, after the shock, it hasn't changed that much as it has been under extreme pressure from, already almost 5 months up to this point. I mean, you have two reactions that are basically, and this is informed. I've been traveling. Yesterday, I was traveling the whole day yesterday, including small rural towns. So I had the opportunity to feel what people are saying or what they are doing. So you have like two different strains here. One is calmness, and expecting, some expectation of what could do. And the other one, it's people incensed and mobilizing. Today, there are many demos going on throughout the country, including where I am. Barinas, by the way, is a state where Hugo Chavez was born. And actually, once I'm going to head there once I'm free of interviews today. But yeah, those are the two main reactions that you can see right now at this current moment. Is it going to change soon enough? I don't know. It's hard to predict. But this goes in tune in how it has been throughout all this month. People here are very cognizant of this kind of intense pressure. And of course, yesterday was the breaking point, no doubt about that. That has never happened before in Venezuela's history, at least in recent history, not since 1902. And it was a naval blockade back then. And so in that sense, there is not any sort of social breakdown, upheaval, or unrest that could work for the benefit of some of the regime changes up to this point. And I think this is the most important thing to address.
Well, let's address one or two other points, Diego, that flow from what you've just said. And what Marco Rubio, about whom we had a long conversation in Caracas a year ago. If the situation is that let's call it the Chavez movement, remains in state power in Venezuela, and I want your confirmation that it is still in state power. If it remains as the hegemonic force, the dominant force in Venezuela, then how is that a win for the United States? What might be going on under the surface that would change my perception that this is not a win for the United States at all? And secondly, I appreciate this is a difficult question to ask you. Both Chris Hedges and I believe that this could not have happened but for betrayal somewhere. Have you a comment on that?
Yes. Regarding the first part of the question, I agree with you. I think this is a sugar high win. I think it's a short-term kind of win. And even within that context, if you saw, I'm sure you did, the footage, the first, let's call it a statement of Presidente Maduro yesterday, when he just said, asked Celia Flores, his wife, is it, he said in Spanish, said, he said good night. Is it said good night? And she said, yes, it's good night. So he said, good night, happy new year, and smiled at the camera. That's a sign of defiance. You can call it a sign of Caraqueño, Latino defiance, if you will. And I don't think there's a real logical midterm calculation to what they're doing now. And of course, if it gets to succeed, which I'm also skeptical about it, what's going to happen with the rest of the region and the blowback that this can bring. This is not 1,000 kilometers away, just as Iraq was. The dynamics here are different, are closer to the United States, and they can be, and they are more harmful in a shorter time for the U.S. population. In many ways, call it migration, fuel price, or whatever. That's something that those variants, I don't know how much aware they are, especially now that they're trying to give Rubio, although they're trying to shift the narrative now, this viceroyalship kind of proconsulate of Venezuela. And there is no, and this is important because I was in another mainstream media channel a couple of interviews back in which they said they talk about a power vacuum. And this is not the case at all. I mean, now we have an interim president that for her first demand is to bring back the legal, legitimate president of Venezuela. And this was decided by the Supreme Court under the Venezuelan constitution and has been acknowledged by the Venezuelan military. Now, on the second point, and I have to tread as careful as I can because I don't have any confirmation or any inside information to share, but my own personal speculation is yes, I think there was a combination. It could be. We have to wait for more evidence and goods to be delivered, and I think we're going to see that this week at some point. But a combination of electronic warfare and, yes, to some extent, betrayal, which I don't know if the traitor right now or the traitors are now under the government and the law enforcement scrutinies. We should wait. I mean, they're being cautious about it, but I'm certain that we will know what happened here because, yes, I mean, we saw the footage and we saw how easily it was for a moment to do what they did. So it makes sense. And also, I would also like to address, if this is the case, I would like to challenge all the obfuscation that, New York Times and others are saying about all this sophisticated infiltration operation and so forth. If it was this way, it was pure and sheer bribery. I don't think it needed that much just to, other than human, to pick the proper guy to do this and to infiltrate him, and nothing more beyond that. But another dangerous strain, I think, that we have to take into account is what was the role of AI in, the AI tycoons in screening and surveilling and designating a bank of targets and so on, which is something that I also cannot prove at this point, but these are the first impressions I get.
Do you trust acting President Rodriguez?
I do. I certainly do. Mind you, she was the one that actually was able to tame the economic madness back then. And also, there's no space. I don't see any kind of space to it, to some sort of backdoor deal of sorts. She has been already threatened by Trump just a few hours ago, saying that if she doesn't comply, it's going to be even worse. I'm paraphrasing here, even worse than with Maduro. So that's not exactly, I don't know, maybe it's, Trump swaggering or something, trying to shadow play it, but I find it quite hard. And also, even in the worst, let's be malicious about it for a moment. What can work for your benefit here, and how much is granted that you actually are gonna that agreement is going to be delivered from a non-agreement capable country that has so many different voices at the same time, a schizoid country, schizoid empire. So even in a more cynical calculation, and this is me just doing an exercise of imagination. I'm not saying this is what's going on. It sounds pretty hard or beneficial. And that Rome doesn't pay, man. So I don't know how much that it will be there. And I do trust her. And it's not only her. It's also the Interior Minister, Diosdado Cabello, and also Vladimir Padrino Lopez, the Defense Minister, which are basically on the three specific and sensitive areas taking care of the country right now. So I do trust her.